You hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
All
man.
right, cool. I finally figured it out, man.
What what was going on?
I think because I was going through Instagram, it was stuck in Instagram instead of going through Chrome.
Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
man.
Yeah,
I'm a young kid, but like I don't know nothing about these computer stuff, bro.
no, I get it. I completely get it. I'm glad we made it work, man. I've been looking forward
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, man.
So I guess now that we're here and started, we'll just go ahead and get to the matters at hand.
Yeah,
Um,
please.
the first and most obvious question is going to be, how long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling since 2021. I've been
Okay,
training since then. I debuted last October. So on shows, I've been wrestling for about 7 months. I think even longer than that. It's almost been a year. So
gotcha, gotcha. I've looked at some of your stuff. I see you've already gotten a belt in your first year. That's pretty good, man.
well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. A lot of people say I don't earn it, you know, but it's still a belt. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
either which way, it's real.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I do in all of these is I do this thing called the speed round game, where basically over the course of this, I'm going to name a name, and you just tell me the first thoughts that pop into your mind when I say a name.
Yeah, of course.
So Jim Ross,
Old.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
we all get there.
You know.
Yep. So, and I know the answer to this, but a lot of people probably don't, and that is, who trained you?
Ethan Case.
Yes, Ethan
Yeah.
is the man for sure.
Ethan's great, man.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of Ethan. I think you've probably heard this story, but probably 9 or 10 years ago, my wife and some friends and I were actually at a restaurant near where we live, and Ethan was our waiter that night.
Really?
And yeah, and somehow the topic came up that he wrestled, and so I got his social media at the time and kind of followed his career from a distance, and I saw that he had opened the school.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a lot of I'll call them Ethan's kids,
Yeah.
and man, he produces some, I mean, like, TV ready
Yeah.
wrestler.
No.
I've really been impressed with everybody who has been an Ethan Case product that I've had on here.
Yeah. No. I
Yeah,
I totally agree.
yeah, yeah. I'm still hoping to get him on here one of these days. I'd love to
Okay,
pick his
man.
brain,
I'm
you
sure.
know.
Yeah.
But so at what point in your life did you know that you kind of wanted to do this? Have you been a lifelong fan, or was there a point where you just realized, hey, this is something I really want to try to make a go of?
So I've always been a fan of it. I've not always wanted to do it though. So like I was a fan of it and I was okay with being a fan of it. I used to wrestle with my dad like everyone else does. Um, but I went to one of my first indie shows in 2017 and it was the
Hmm.
first Palmetto Classic, which is really cool. And there I met Ethan because Ethan and my mom met at her work, and he talked about how he was a wrestler, and she was like, "Oh, my son's really into wrestling." Da 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 da. Da. And we ended up going, and ever since we kept going, I was like, "Okay, okay." And then I saw the academy, and I was like, "Wait a second, like I could actually do this." And
Yep.
so I talked to Ethan about it, and he was like, "Yeah, like you'd be good at this date." And I was like, "Okay, like I'm down." And I joined at the age of 15 in
Wow.
2020. Yeah, so it was really nice. It was really cool.
Yeah, so you're definitely a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah.
That's cool. That is very cool. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
I'm really into like Marvel and like DC, like superhero stuff. Really into Legos. Like I have a whole thing in my room of like just like big Lego sets everywhere and stuff.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
I'm into like figures, so like I'm into like wrestling figures, of course, but like I'm also into like Marvel figures and DC figures. You know what I mean? Um, I'm into drawing too. I like drawing. Yeah,
Cool.
I like nerdy
Cool.
stuff.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. So, speed round.
Yeah.
Tony Khan.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird and a little in over his head, I think.
Oh, I think a lot in over his head, but I almost feel like you have to be a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, so is wrestling anything approaching a full-time thing for you, or do you have a air quotes day job?
No, man, I sit at home and I watch my dogs and I relax when I'm not at the school. I'm at the school 4 days a week. Um, there every week, and on weekends I have shows. So yeah, a lot of people try to do it as a day job, and I just feel like, I mean, I'm not knocking anybody for it. Like, go ahead,
Yeah.
do it as a hobby, but like, I want to do it as a career. I want to be like a wrestler that people look up to and on TV and all that stuff. I want to make it. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, what is your actual hometown?
Columbia.
Columbia.
So yeah,
And what is your favorite thing about Columbia?
man, there's not much. There's not, but if I had to choose, I don't know. I feel like we have pretty good activities here. I feel like we have like a campus. We have like all kinds of like coffee shops. We have like we have a lot of stuff to do, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, there's also a lot of different people too, which is cool. I like meeting new people. Um, yeah, I think I like the feeling of, because like I like walking down the street. I don't feel nervous. You know what I mean? Like it's very calm here.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. So, speed round.
yeah,
Kevin Owens, or as you may know him, Kevin Steen.
yeah, phenomenal. He's
Yep.
great. He's fucking
Yep.
great. Sorry, I
Yep.
don't have the curse,
Oh
but
no, no, it's fine.
okay,
It's fine.
cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, I actually really liked him back in the Kevin Steen days, and I feel like he kind of had to water his stuff down a little bit when he came to the Fed. But
Yep,
but he's still great.
that's what I'm saying. I think he did a great job doing it. I think he
Yeah.
did a phenomenal job doing it.
Yep. 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 So, tell me about in-ring DPJ and compare and contrast him with everyday Dennis.
So I'd like to say that Dennis is a regular guy that likes wrestling. Uh, he's a hothead. Like he's just a teenager, man, and it's like that with DPJ just cranked up to 1,000. It's just, I'm just an arrogant piece of shit, and like I know I'm better than you. Like, and that's not far from what like who I am. Like if I go into something, I have to think I'm the best. Like I can't
Right.
think I'm the worst. So um I'd say the only thing that's not me that goes across is like I'm not always an arrogant asshole. So
Right. Right.
yeah. So like other than that, I feel like everything else is like pretty much me, which is really easy to pull off because it's me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, they say the best wrestling personas really usually are yourself turned up to 11. So I
oh,
mean,
1,000%. 1,000%.
yep, yep, yep. So tell us about your very first match. How did it go? What was it like? What were your feelings?
So, are you talking about on a show?
Yeah, the very first match you had.
Okay, so the very first match I've ever had was in training. It was with Florida Man,
Oh yeah.
um, and it was surprisingly easy to like put together and easy to like get together. And I felt like it was like for back then, it was pretty good.
Hmm.
But the one that really gets me is like my debut match for like PCW, which was in October. I debuted with Dre and I debuted with Aaron.
Hmm.
And dude, like we called, I think we like went into the locker room and we talked about it. And like we had like an hour before like doors opened, and we were like, oh shit, maybe we should like talk, you know?
Yeah.
So started talking about it, and dude, it was. I still think it's one of my best matches. Like the adrenaline was high, um, and I had like 50 family members there. Man, it was great. Like it was insane. Like it was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, I love Florida Man and Dre to death, man.
Oh,
I
dude,
had them on here previously, and I just can't say enough good stuff about those two guys. They are just awesome.
they're so like creative and like
Yeah,
just they're not boring people. Like you want to talk to them, you know?
yeah, absolutely. Yep. So we've heard about your first match. Now, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of. You kind of just said the one that was your first match still is kind of one of your favorites. But
Yes.
is there another one that's right up there that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, of course. I have my top three. So I
Oh,
have that
cool.
one, of course. Um, I also really enjoyed the match I had with Tristan, which
Hmm.
was his debut match, which is really cool. An honorable mention is actually Joya. It was also her debut match, which is kind of crazy to think. Like I've been like two students' like first debuts, which that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh, but my favorite match that I've ever been a part of is me versus Chip Day, hands down. Hands down, man. Like Chip is such a good dude and he's such a good wrestler that like in the match I could feel myself getting better. I've never had that. I've never felt like I was getting better during the match and keep going and keep going. I was like, oh my god, like he's going. I better catch up, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So speed round.
Yeah.
Swerve Strickland.
Hold up. Had it. I think underrated still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think people don't grasp what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like dude,
Now
and
I think Osprey being willing to put him over did a
oh
lot for him. I
I,
mean, you know.
I agree, yeah. Dude, Osprey's my guy, so
Oh
like
yeah, that guy is just phenomenal. I
dude,
mean,
like
um,
my number one dream match, my number one ever like is Osprey. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
like Swerve is like I think Swerve is so good because he's just him cranked up to 1,000. Does that make
yeah.
sense?
Oh, it does. It does. Yeah, yeah. Kind of like we were talking about, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what has been, you know, if you can narrow it down to maybe one or two little stories, what have been some of the most interesting or unusual experiences that you've had in wrestling so far?
Um I think most of my fun like stories that I tell is usually on the ride up to shows with like my classmates.
Yeah.
Um but if I was going to weirdest, um actually it's pretty funny. I was in training and I went to PWX at the time and it was a show they had Anthony Henry versus Suzuki.
Hmm.
So we were sitting there, we were setting up the ring, we were doing everything, and I ended up going to the bathroom. And so I use the restroom, and I come back, and I'm washing my hands, and then to the right of me is Suzuki, and Suzuki's just brushing his teeth, and
Wow.
he's like vigorously like just like brush it. I was like, oh my god. And like he has it all in his mouth and he spits it out, looks at me, he's like, and walks off. I'm like what happened? What is life? Like what is life? It
That
was
is
crazy.
cool.
It was crazy. Yeah.
And, sort of piggybacking onto that, you haven't been doing this that long, but what has been your strangest encounter with a fan so far?
Um, because I'm an arrogant asshole most of the
Uh-huh.
time. A lot of people like to test me, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
like, you know what I mean. So, um, I'm not gonna say who, but like I was doing stuff like for one of my promotions, and I was walking down the ring, and they were just saying some fucked up shit, like shit you don't say, like, and I was like, okay, and they were saying some like homophobic comments, and I was like, okay, sure. So I get into the ring, and then I just play into it, man, like, and dude, when his face went like, when he was like, oh, no, no, and then when I fucking did my thing, he was like, oh, like, oh, he's not just an arrogant asshole. He can do it. He's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's one thing that I think that I can do very well is shut people up because if someone says, "All right, Dennis, go in there with someone," I'm like, "Okay, who am I going against?" And
absolutely. And it's good to be at that level of skill and confidence.
yeah,
So,
and that. This Ethan's training, man. Like that's I would never have that if it wasn't for Ethan. So
yep, yep, yep. So, speed round.
yeah.
Jacob Fatu.
Mm. I want to say werewolf, but like that's like his whole shtick. So I'm gonna say moonsault. He has a cool moonsault.
He does. And I think he's, for a relatively new person to the WWE, at least, he has amazing presence.
Oh yeah, dude.
I
Like
mean, he just he's going to be a big star.
oh yeah, I agree. I think he's gonna be up there. So yeah, he reminds me of like Umaga.
Yeah,
You know, that kind of power and that kind of like aura when he comes out, and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't want to fuck with
yeah,
this guy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, in terms of your in-ring work and your promos, who or what would you say are some of your influences? And it can be wrestlers, it can be pop culture, anything. So,
Yeah. Um, I like to say that like certain aspects of my in ring, so like my selling comes from Ethan. I love how the way he sells. Like he sells moves, and most of the time wrestling, like you're not gonna get fucking like paid by WWE by doing cool moves. You're gonna be paid by your selling.
yep.
So I feel like my selling is straight from Ethan. I feel like my striking is straight from Ethan. A lot of my in ring stuff comes straight from Ethan. Not copying him, but like we
Right.
work like either one on one, like back like just working on our like me, and so I kind of just almost have to have that Ethan rub. Um, and for promos, I talk like it's weird. Like it made sense to me last show because the way I broke it down, but I talk like Jigsaw does when he's talking to the contestants, like in
Oh
the new.
yeah.
Like I'll talk it to the camera like they're stupid a little bit. Like da 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 da, and I think that's pretty cool. And I also like to get caught up in the moment because I feel like a lot of people just say something and it's very generic, like this Saturday night at this place in this town, and it's like very generic, and it's like okay, you can do better than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like to at least throw in something where like if I have my title and I'm just looking at it and I just go like take my moment and look at the title for a second and then go back to my promo. Like I got caught up in the moment. So
Yep.
that also
Yep.
comes from Ethan. So like everything that I pretty much do, me and Ethan have worked on like together.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to my guest last night about this. In terms of promos, two of my favorite wrestlers, as far as their promos go, over the years have been Jake Roberts and Raven.
Really?
because both of those guys would very rarely raise their voice.
Yeah.
But they could project such menace, but not be there ranting and raving with their veins popping out,
Yeah.
just quiet menace.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more intimidating than somebody, yelling and ranting and raving. So
Yeah. Of course. No, dude, like I think that you obviously need to have those highs and lows, but
yeah,
like if you can't, like if your low is too low, you can't, like you're not gonna pull them. Like you gotta have something. So yeah,
exactly.
I totally agree. I love Raven. So
Yeah. Yep. 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 So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? A match that you can go back and watch and rewatch a million times, and it never gets old, and you still can pull something new out of it.
yeah. Um I think I have one as a fan, and then I have one as like looking at it as a wrestler.
Okay,
So
let's
for
hear
a
them.
fan, for a fan, I really enjoy um the match between it was like a I think it was like a 8-way ladder match. It was like Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Edge. It was like a couple of those people. The only thing I remember from it is like Jeff jumping off the ladder when he had the chance to get the belt or the
Hmm.
money in the bank. And dude, like that match, like that just like that's the match I would watch on repeat on my CD. So like I would watch it and watch it and watch it and I could watch it right now and I'd still be entertained. Um, but like for wrestling, I think my favorite match of all time is Osprey versus Walter at
Hmm.
OTT. Dude, that match is the definition of like that's how you run a match. Like that's how you run it. Like the way they worked it, the way they did everything, the way they sold, like it was perfect.
Absolutely. So, speed round,
Yeah.
FTR.
Best tag team in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing
They're
I love about them is nothing flashy, just old school smash mouth wrestling. And that's a forgotten art, which is why they called themselves the Revival for a long time. But yeah, those guys are just top notch.
dude, and like I've never like I think I enjoy wrestlers because they're good people too. So like Ethan's met like a bunch of these dudes, and like I go up to him like, how are these dudes like? And he's like, dude, they're phenomenal. They're just dudes. And I'm like, yeah, because I think we often forget all the time that they're just dudes. Like they're
Yep.
just guys.
Yep.
So I just think that their chemistry is on another level than anyone
Oh
else.
yeah.
My yeah, the only people that come close to for me is like Aussie Open. That's it.
Yeah.
And so their trilogy is phenomenal to me. So
Yep. So and this can be present day or past.
yeah,
Who would be a dream opponent besides Osprey? I mean, we've already kind of taken him off the
yeah,
table,
yeah.
but who would be another dream opponent for you, present day or past?
I think Zack Sabre Jr. I think Zack Sabre would teach me a lot about my body, I guess. Like, cause like I know how to
Yeah,
move in my own body, but like he knows how to like move in his own body.
yeah.
Like I think Zach. I've been a fan of Zach since like 2006. I've been a fan of Zach before I was a fan of Osprey.
Hmm.
Um, I end up liking Osprey better, but like Zach is still phenomenal.
I mean, such a technician.
Oh,
I
dude,
mean, he
what
is
was
just phenomenal. And you were talking about being aware of how to move in his own body and spatial awareness and that kind of thing. And being able to contort somebody else's body the way he does is just insane. Some of
so
the,
good. It's so good, and he does it without hurting him.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Hmm. So it sounds like to some extent you have, but have you had a chance to meet any of your heroes?
Um, I have. I think my one that I liked meeting a lot. I met Zach. Zach was a nice dude. We sat on the couch and literally talked about like I don't even remember, but it was just like a good conversation. Um, Okada was pretty cool because like for a while there, I was going to NJPW shows and I was working a little bit backstage. So like we got to be around the wrestlers and they didn't shy away from like just talking to the staff.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I mean, I met a lot of people that like that I wouldn't have. A cool one for me was Matt Seidel because dude, Evan Bourne was my favorite as a kid. Like he was just charismatic. Like he underrated. Like he's so good. And then in 2020, my first ever like big indie show was PWX 2020 X16.
Hmm.
Dude, he was so nice to me, and like it was great. And then um, last year, I saw him again, and I showed him the picture, and he was like, "Whoa." Like that's a drastic difference because I didn't have this in 2020. I didn't have any of this in 2020.
Got
So
you.
um, the before and after is really cool. Um, I want to meet Osprey one day. I've literally never ever seen Osprey in person, and he's been like right near me. Every single New Japan show that he was supposed to be scheduled on, no, it didn't happen, or I couldn't make it up to AEW, or like all this stuff, and I have not seen him yet. It's crazy.
You will.
Yeah,
I have, I have no doubt.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's interesting what you were mentioning about Matt Seidel. You know, everybody that I've talked to on these that has met Seidel just says he is just a great dude.
He's,
And so I wasn't surprised to hear you say that.
yeah,
So
dude. He's like he's just a nice dude like that wrestles.
yeah, yeah. So you're a pretty young guy, so this may not really apply to you yet. But
Yeah,
what hurts right now? Does anything hurt?
yes, actually. So I think what hurts me the most a lot of the time is either my knee or my neck. My neck because I sleep really like crooked, and
Hmm.
then like I go to training and then I don't stretch, which I need to start doing. Like I need to start stretching.
Yeah, you do.
Uh, dude, my neck's the one that kind of gets me sometimes. Like it's a little sore right now. Like if I look a certain way. And then like my knee because I think something happened to it like a while back, and I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's like nothing like that. I think it's sore, but like I don't think it's bad. But sometimes my knee will like get hit, and it's like it hurts more than usual. But I think my number one is my neck right now.
Got you. Got you. So, in general, what are your thoughts on the current state of the business overall?
I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think it's gonna either go two ways. I think it's gonna go like it's either gonna go towards like a movie, like cinematic landscape wrestling like WWE's doing right now, or I think that it's just gonna fizzle out, which I don't think is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I think that it's evolving, and I think that AEW wrestlers are more for like the people that want to see spots, which is fine. Like I like watching spots too, but I think what WWE is doing right now is the future. I think the cinematic, like through the crowds and like mixing in each other, like dude, watching WrestleMania was like an experience. It wasn't just WrestleMania; it was an experience.
Oh, I'm
So,
sure. Yeah.
dude, it was great. Yeah, I think it's gonna be the future. I think it's gonna be the future.
Yeah, that's the thing, there's um, there's virtually a style of wrestling now pretty much for everybody,
Yeah,
and I love all of it. I mean, in terms of in-ring and work rate, you really can't get much better than what AEW is doing,
yeah,
but they're not telling stories.
correct. Yeah,
Um, so I mean, it's it's all great, but I mean, I've got my concerns about the future of AEW. hopefully they can right the ship, but I don't know. you know.
Yeah, I think that if they don't start like kind of, and honestly, man, like there's no shame in copying. Like
Oh
do what
no,
they're doing. Like that's they everything is a copy of something else. Don't copy
exactly.
fully, but like copy them like in that sense.
Yep.
Like you see that it's working, so that's what you want. You know what I mean? So I think that AEW has the better wrestlers, of course. I think AEW beats WWE a mile with that.
Oh yeah.
But I think that WWE has way more storytelling. And for
Yep.
me personally, I would rather watch a match with a story than a match with just spots.
Right.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Speed round.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels.
Best of all time.
Yep.
Yeah. Real
Uh,
simple.
it's funny. I was talking to my guest last night, and we were talking about the irony that how things have shaken out. DX is running the company. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
I I find that hilarious.
it's insane. Like
Yeah.
it's so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like imagine telling that to someone like 20 years ago. They would
I
not
know.
believe. They would not
No.
believe. No.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Mm-mm.
So, do you enjoy participating in tag team wrestling? And when you tag, do you have a typical partner that you like to tag with?
Um, I'd like to say that I'm good at every match type because Ethan trains for it. Um, I've never been in a strictly tag match. I've been in like multi-man tag matches, but I've never been in a tag match,
Hmm.
like a 2-on-2. But like I'm always down for it. I think that the only reason why I'm hesitant is because I want to be a good wrestler for me, and I think what I'm doing right now works. And I feel like I
Right.
don't need to go to because I feel like tag wrestling is either you start it at the beginning or you're kind of like half-assing it a little bit. Because like if you get together with someone, you have to like you can't just one off, one off, one off. Like you have to do it with them, or you're not going to be a good tag team. Like genuinely.
Right.
So I would rather focus heavily on tag wrestling to be a good tag wrestler.
Gotcha.
I've always like talked about it. Like I've talked about it to like Tristan. I've talked about it with like other people, but like until the point comes, I think that right now I'm a singles guy.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So, here is another question that I've asked on a lot of these, and that is, if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
Mm. I think great on the mic just because everyone's great in the ring. I think like if you're great in the ring, you're one out of like or sorry, you're a million out of one, and I think if you're good on the mic, you're one out of a million. So I think that that's why MJF is so popular. Like if he didn't have his mic skills, he would not be as praised as he is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or The Miz, he wouldn't be as praised as he is. John Cena, I don't think would have been as praised as he is. The
Yep.
Rock, like all these people, like they could have been just good wrestlers, but like they're good storytellers and they're good talkers.
Yep. So, you're a young guy, but knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would
Yeah.
it be?
Stop worrying about failing because failing is going to be inevitable. Um, I almost like feared like failing, but I feel like now I'm more of a okay, it's gonna happen anyway, so how am I gonna fix it in the future type deal. So yeah, I
That's
think
wise.
yeah, I appreciate that.
So,
Appreciate it.
oh, no problem. So, and do you have any advice for other young people that might be looking to break into the business besides
Uh,
train with Ethan Case?
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's the one, you know. But I do think that a lot of people come into it and think it's easy, and it's
Mm-mm.
not. This thing is not easy. What we do is not easy. Um, I really hate the saying of keep your mouth shut and your ears open. Because if you keep your mouth shut, you're never gonna have an opinion, and you're never gonna form your own opinion. So I would say that young wrestlers need to almost come into it with their own opinion and let other people like tell you if your opinion is wrong or not, or tell you like why this part of your opinion doesn't make sense, and let you formulate your own opinion on stuff instead of listening to the old guys. Because I'll tell you right now, like half the people that like wrestle over the age of like 40 don't know what they're doing. Unless they're in the Fed, they don't know what they're doing because they've been on the Indies this long. So obviously, something they've been doing hasn't been working. Um, and when I go to shows and like they try to come up to me and talk to me, I'm cool with it. Like they can give me like I'm always going to be respectful of people. Like I'm always going to be respectful of them. But like I think young wrestlers think that's half like that's the way it has to be done when there's a million ways it can be done. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do. I do. So, do you have a favorite move, something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side, is there a move that you would rather not or completely won't do?
Um, I love hitting kitchen sink on people that can take kitchen sink, because I feel like kitchen sink is more of a like when people talk about it, it's more like a interchangeable move in there and whatever, whatever. But like I use it as a finish because honestly, realistically speaking, like I'm kneeing you in the liver. You know, what I mean? I'm kneeing you right there.
Yeah.
So if someone takes a good flip out of it, oh dude, it's money every single time. And I think a move that like I don't want to do. I don't know. I feel like brainbuster for both sides is just scary. I think I'd rather take it than give it, honestly, because taking it, you just jump straight up and like everything else is on them. But I feel like giving it, I would feel like too like I'm gonna fucking kill them. So I would
Yeah.
kind of be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not a wrestler, but watching, on the rare occasions that you see somebody bust out a vertebraker, that always scares me to death
Oh
because, I mean,
yeah.
there's no way for the person giving it to really know for sure if the guy's positioned well, and if you're taking it, you're just hoping that the guy giving it knows what he's doing. I
Oh
mean, so
yeah. Dude, I'm not taking it if I don't trust you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like Uh, the one that Homicide gives, bro. Oh my god, he lets go with it, and it's like, ooh, like I have to flinch. I have to flinch. I
yep,
can't.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
So something that I've done on all of these, and it's just been kind of fun, is I've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest.
Okay.
So my previous guest was a wrestler out of Colorado named Damian Malice.
Yeah. I know.
And yeah, and he posed this question, and that is, what is your biggest pet peeve in the ring as a wrestler?
Ooh. Um. Honestly, I think that my biggest pet peeve as like in the ring as a wrestler is the fans. As sucky as it says, but like I could kill myself out there. I could like do all these moves, do everything, do all this, and I feel like they'd still not be happy. So I usually have a good time with the wrestlers I'm wrestling, but then the crowd is almost like they want more, and it's like, what more do you want? Like I'm not breaking my neck. Like that's
Yeah,
not what I'm. So I almost feel like I have to go in there and I have to look at the crowd, see what they want to do, and see like how they want it. And then if they still don't get it and they still don't want it, it's almost like okay, well I'm not the problem. I'm trying all these ways. trying all these different ways. So I think my biggest pet peeve is that either that or people that don't wash their gear really irritate me because it's not
Yeah,
hard. It's not
no,
hard.
it's not. It's not. Um, I haven't trained in about 10 years, but for several years I trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And and there were always those guys that would come in with a just a rank gi, and it's just like, man, just wash your stuff.
Yeah, just wash it. It's fine. Like just you wash it, leave it out to dry. That's it.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
not
yep,
hard.
yep.
Takes you 20 minutes.
Yep. So, since this is a series, do you have a question you would like to pose for the next guest? And I can go ahead and tell you who the next guest is.
Okay.
Uh, Tomorrow at 7 p.m., I've got a masked wrestler from here in the Atlanta area called Cuatro Cabezas.
Okay.
Um, so, do you have? It doesn't have to be anything specific to
Yeah.
him, but do you have a question you'd like to ask?
Mm, uh, if he were to ever like get hurt or something, what's the backup plan?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
How would you answer that?
I think if I got hurt, I would still be inside of wrestling. Like I would be a ring announcer, referee, like something. Because dude, I love this stuff, man. Like I can't be away from it. So either a ring announcer, referee. I'd run my own show. I'd figure it out. I'd
Yeah,
figure it.
yeah, yep. It's funny. I've been a fan, varying levels of fandom over the years since I was about 11, and I'm going to be 55 next month. So I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up in the territory days, and I've seen a lot in 40 plus years.
Mhm.
And it's exciting to be doing this and actually be a part of the business in a very small way now. I've had such a good time doing these live streams. I've met some of the coolest people,
Yeah.
and it's satisfying to be a part of it.
No.
It really
Cool.
is.
Of
So,
course. Like I think it's so dope. I think it's like I almost think it's a little bit therapeutic talking to people like this, you know?
oh, it is. And you just you never know the interesting or unique answers you're going to get, from the same questions, because
Yeah.
everybody's got a different spin, a different perspective, and it's just been very cool.
Yeah,
So,
dude, I love it.
so do you have any upcoming shows or anything you'd like to hype?
I have I have a show this Saturday. It's PCW. It is I think it's yeah, it's this Saturday. And I'm wrestling D'Angelo for my title, which I think is a little bit unfair, but we'll get to that ridge when we cross it, whatever. Um but I'm very excited for the match, not just for me, but like for everyone. I think it's going to be very special. Because me and D, we started together. We started training together. Like we were in the same class. Um, and this would be our first like one on one on a show. So
Oh, that's
I'm
cool.
very excited for that. Yeah,
So do you have any words for D'Angelo going into the match?
I do. I love hearing him be so overconfident about stuff, but I think that I've been a better mid card champion as someone that took it off a wall than someone that won it from someone a year ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, we're pretty much at the end of things now, and I want to thank you for your time. This has been
of course.
absolutely terrific. I've really had a good time,
Thank you. Thank you.
and any of your classmates that haven't been on here, send them my way, because I've got bookings for the next about 2.5 weeks, but I mean, I'm always looking for new bookings. So definitely send your boys my way.
Of course, yeah, no,
And, for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that will be seeing this on replays, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely continue to spread the word. This thing is really taking on a life of its own, and I'm just having a blast with it, and I'm just kind of along for the ride at this point. But anyway, I will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Cuatro Cabezas, which should be an entertaining stream. I'm excited to talk to him. And then I've got some streams next week that I'll be announcing in the next day or so. But anyway, everybody have a wonderful night, and we'll see you